morning to you all. Welcome on Career Show. Today we are receiving Madame Jennet Lemma, a proud entrepreneur from Ethiopia. Welcome, Madame Jennet.
Merci. Thank you so much for having me, Carl. It's a pleasure to be.
Wow. So I have to remind that you are the founder and CEO of Gaber Wear. Yeah. So Madame Jennet, in entering, I'll just ask you now, like, after spending 12 years in the United States of America, you decided to come back to Africa to launch your business. What happened? What motivated you to become an entrepreneur?
You know, that's a great question. And I think the entrepreneurship journey for me was always an influence that I've had growing up in a family. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. They are also the founder and managing partners of a company, a big company in Ethiopia called the Twins PLC. And they have been in entrepreneurship for the past 30 plus years. So growing up, not only did we contribute actively in giving our thoughts, our ideas, and participating in solving challenges and problems that they've had in their entrepreneurship journey that started with a very humble beginning with one small shop. I think that the influence and the keen interest in entrepreneurship probably was fostered during my young growing up years. Now, fast forward after, to answer your question, after living in the US for 10 plus years, to be honest, you are set in your own ways and you get used to the convenience of having a lot of things at the tip of your fingers, and you get used to that lifestyle. And for sure, the idea of moving back to Africa, the continent, and specifically Ethiopia in my case, which is my birth country, was one that was from the heart. My heart was always in wanting to have a purposeful and meaningful life. And even though I climbed the ladder in my career, I found myself not being fulfilled. And so I started thinking, okay, what is going on with me? I'm making all this money. Why am I not happy? Or why do I feel like there's a void? But what it comes down to is I wanted to look back in my life and say that I've contributed towards, our country's growth and giving job creation and doing my part in making impactful changes. And that's, I think, why Gaber Wear was the idea, at least the inception of Gaber Wear came from.
Wow, amazing, madam. But why did you choose the garment industry?
Very good question. So I've known that if I wanted to move back and start a company, it would have to be one that would employ majority women. And at Gaber, we hire about 85 to 90% women. That's because the garment industry is very prone to having more workforce that are women. Because as you can imagine, sewing and stitching is things that require a lot of details, and women just tend to be the ones that choose this career path, So I think garments, because I wanted to make sure I hired more women. And another layer of why I chose garment is also I wanted the industry that I participate in to be one of manufacturing because of the job creation aspect of manufacturing. And Ethiopia is definitely in the path of industrializing. And I think that for us to grow as a country, if we do not industrialize or follow an economy that's more industry-based and we're not self-sufficient in making things that we need, I think that's the only way that we can grow and come out of poverty. So I just wanted to be part of the change makers, and it just made more sense. And the other component of it is I've always been very passionate about clothing and fashion, not necessarily because of how you feel or look, but because I think it's important that your identity can show in what you wear. And I've always felt that we're so not well represented on the global scale, you know, and there's so much we can do by just adding our creativity and contribution to everyday wear. Our clothes can be more than just something that you wear on occasion. You know, we can definitely make our clothes to be reflective of who we are and something that we can wear every day. So I think that's why I was drawn towards garment more than any other industry.
Wow, wow, amazing, madam. But what really built in you, like you're always talking about the employing women and so on, but what really built in you that desire to empower women and to bring development to your community?
I think in general, you know, if you're thinking about your purpose or in your life, you want to have an impact outside of yourself, right? And the reason why majority woman is an important component for the impact to be tenfold is, from my experience, women tend to invest in their families more than, and I'm not saying men don't, but we tend to do that more intentionally than our counterpart, you know? And so if you hire one woman, I really think that you're helping the children and the families. So the effect, the positive impact that you're going to have can have more ripple effect. And so that's why it's purposeful to be woman. And second reason for why majority woman was an important thing for me is it's also not very easy for women to find a path in their career and to be empowered, because for the most part, if you think of, not, I guess less on the capital and in the big cities, but if you think of mostly in African settings, women tend to take the household and the background seat as it relates to leading. So I wanted to have an environment where you know, I have managers that have grown from being an operator or from being a helper, or, you know, just being able to, like, I guess, influence women to think that if they are confident in who they are, then they can accomplish something. And I wanted to also make my own resilience an example to other women, you know? So I think that's why it was very important for me that it was majority woman.
Wow, wow, amazing, madam. But now you are an entrepreneur. What are the difficulties that you encounter daily?
So 100%, I do think that choosing the entrepreneurship route is not for everyone. You have to be able to handle certain level of stress that comes with just being an entrepreneur in general, you know, because like you said, your day, I mean, you can plan your day as much as you like, but in the setting that we're in, especially doing business in Africa, there's fire drills that you have to adjust, you have to rethink, you have to re-strategize, you have to go back to the drawing board, and that's just how it is. And I think from gender-based things that I've personally faced, I think I have found myself, and especially in the beginning, that I had to be very assertive to be able to get things done, to be able to demand, you know, to basically have a path forward. I realized that I cannot be very accommodating and very understanding of situations that become obstacles and that just completely delay your trajectory and your goals. So for one, I learned that I had to be assertive and confident as I spoke. If you want something done on time, you have to exert a certain energy that, okay, you mean business, you know, because generally speaking, if you're a woman and you're young, there's already a preconceived attitude that's going to come with that. So you don't want to leave room for not being taken seriously. when you're about business, you need to do your research ahead of time. You need to really know why you want what you want, when you want it, and demand that as needed, you know? So that's one thing that I think day to day that I have to face, is that I have to be serious more so than I would like to be sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, madam. But talking about the garment industry, you know, what did you face really as difficulties going into the sector?
I would say that it's not an easy sector to come into, because for one, it's a labor intensive industry. For you to be able to manufacture a certain amount of clothing, at least at the level or at the quantity output production that we're manufacturing, we have to manage a large scale of workforce. And with that come difficulty, because you have to set the cultural environment for your company in order to be able to achieve certain targets that are related with quality, targets that are related to efficiency. And overall, your brand has to reflect, your clothing has to reflect your brand. So it's not very easy to be able to cascade that down to a larger workforce versus working with a team of 5 people that think just like you. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that you have to think about. Second thing about working in the garment industry, especially as a woman, is it's a majority male dominated industry for sure. Let's say if we are in a meeting that's related to garment and textile industry, or an exhibition or any kind of event, typically in a room of, let's say, 50 people, out of that, I would say 40 something will be men that are older. So we are minority. I would say I don't reflect the majority people that are in this industry. So you have to be able to be confident that this is indeed the path that you want. And also be able to have a say and bring your vote to the table. You have to demand sort of a seat to be able to be heard. So
wow, amazing. But madam, you share with us your adversities, but can you tell us what is your worst experience in business?
I have to say there's been many obstacles that I faced, but one of the most challenging one that I can think of is when I was starting off. I had gotten some working capital loan approved, and my machinery was also supposed to come and set a certain time to start production, and both were just delayed in ways that I had not planned at all. And navigating through that time when things don't get done at your timetable, and how to handle the stress that comes with that, because not everything is going to be smooth. Like you said, not everything will get done in time, but it's very important to practice positive way of looking at things, and just not getting if I would say what I got out of that circumstance is that if I was just depressed about it and then just said, maybe this is not meant for me, it's too many issues, I rather not do that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So just practicing perseverance and exhausting all the options and thinking in brand new way of finding solutions has been what has kept me on board, managing my emotions, I guess, in a way.
Wow. But madam, talking about the business, talking about the commerce, how do you think we can succeed in setting up the intra-African trade?
I do think that intra-Africa trade is very critical for the continent to flourish and grow, and there is so much untapped potential, I think, for us to do trade within countries in the continent. And I think the way that we can establish that and nurture that is, for one, participating in different exhibitions, bazaars, platforms such as this one, especially one that has more reach to other entrepreneurs, but just putting yourself out there, showcasing your product, and being confident in what you are bringing to the table, and knowing that if you don't put your product and your services out there, how would you know how you could be successful in trading with other African countries? So just being bold in that work, and also just looking for the opportunities, I think will set us apart. And I think it's very untapped. And I feel also, personally, that we don't even understand how much potential we have and how much need there is for our products in different countries. We might even find ourselves knowing more about what the US or different countries in Europe would need to what we can export to those countries, rather than 54 countries. We don't even know what could be sold, in other Africa. We just don't have enough knowledge, and that's speaking about myself as well. So just, fostering that connection, putting yourself out there, participating, and understanding the needs for our products, I think can definitely get us there. And now that we have new trade agreements coming into play, I think it will be game changer.
Yeah, exactly, madam. The trade agreement shows us again that Africa is one, and the entrepreneurs or young people, young African, must think on how we can seize that opportunity to rebuild Africa, to share the market, to work together in order to participate in the development in the future that we want for our continent. So, madam, as we're talking of business, what do you think of the business environment in Ethiopia? Is foreign penetration substantial?
I would say, especially in the last, decade or so, the foreign penetration, or even I would say scale it back, maybe like last 3-4 years, I think it's been more, because I think there's also changes in policies to encourage more foreign businesses or foreign direct investments to come into play. Of course, now we have certain internal issues that we're dealing with as a country, but I think direction going forward, I would think that there will be more foreign direct investment in Ethiopia, and a lot of countries are eyeing Ethiopia because we're the second most populous country on the continent. There's a lot of untapped potential. There's a growing middle class. And so there's definitely going to be more interest in investing in Ethiopia, whether it is from Ethiopian borns or foreigners in general. I think overall as a market, I think Ethiopia is growing tremendously, and there is a lot to be done here in the country, I would say. So yeah, the opportunities are endless. It just requires perseverance and endlessly adjusting to understand the market, because it's not just as straightforward and as simple as it could be.
Wow, madam, as you're saying, I'm only interested in investing in Ethiopia. Can you tell us, many people that are watching this video, they're surely going to say, oh, let me go and invest in Ethiopia. Can you tell us, madam, 3 growing sectors like that you encourage people to go when it comes to investing in Ethiopia? What are the 3 sectors that you think can be the sector for African?
That's a great question. I mean, top of my head, I would for sure say the tech industry, and it will employ a lot of youth. It will increase creativity, and there's just simply the need for it. As the country is growing, the tech industry is going to grow. So I would imagine that's one that's going to pay off So tech industry, whether it's from the startup aspect or, a bigger scale, I would say that industry. The second one, of course, I would say manufacturing. The third one, I would say agro processing, because it's a rich country. We grow a lot of things naturally, organically. And I think if we can be more creative in that aspect, there's going to be food shortage, in the world in general. So I think that's an industry that could be key.
Yeah. I also think that the tourism sector is a sector that you have to pay more attention. If you're an African and you really want to invest in Ethiopia, I think the tourism sector is something that is really attractive. So so you're listening to us. If you want to invest in Ethiopia, I think it's the country where you can go. You have all the information. Yeah. So let us continue. And as we were talking about women, Madam, you told us the difficulties that you encountered due to the fact that you are a woman. My question now is, what advice can you give to all those women listening to us who wish to become an entrepreneur, or those who have started with your business? What advice can you give to them?
Specifically to women that would want to be entrepreneurs, I would say to listen to themselves, follow whatever they're passionate with, because if you're not passionate about what you do, at the end of the day, I think it's very difficult to get through the hard days. But if you're very passionate about what you do, even if it gets tough, because entrepreneurship will get hard sometimes. You have really good days where you win, and you have certain days that are going to be challenging. So to get through the bumpy phases, I think it's important to be passionate, to be confident in your intuition and what you want to accomplish as a person, and to not be limited by what others or society expects of you. To just stay true to yourself and do a business that really just feeds into that. And to entrepreneurs overall, I would say that the more you stay through the hard phase of a business journey, there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And to stick through, to persevere, but to also know when it's time to change path. It's time to re-strategize, to rethink, or even sometimes change your model overall. But to just be good in persevering in general, and not being quick to give up, because it's not meant to be easy. Because if it was, then everyone else would do it.
Exactly, Madam. You talked about to change the model, or the right time to change, as you said, the right time to innovate, to reinvent yourself. And this make me to come to the question when it concerns the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam, what are the difficulties that you encountered with the COVID-19? How did you manage? How did you succeed during that period?
That was, of course, challenging time for all businesses, not just for Gaber Wear in particular, but every business did feel the direct effect of the pandemic. And I think what we did as a garment industry, as a garment company, we were very lucky to have been backed by the fact that reusable face masks were very important. Were very important and useful in assisting during the pandemic, and just decreasing, how you pass COVID, the spread of COVID. So we basically just re-strategized. We stopped other product manufacturing, and we just switched to manufacturing masks, designing different types of masks, understanding what the market needed, what is the policy, like what is the FDA saying locally and abroad and internationally. And we just re-strategized and shifted to manufacturing not just face masks, but other PPEs as well. And that's how we passed through that difficult time. There was a need for our products, and we were able to, persevere.
Wow, wow. Exactly, madam. But now we are going to take a short break and we are coming back in a minute. Welcome back on Career Show. We are still with Madam Jennet Lemma, the founder and CEO of Gaber Wear. So, Madam, what, in your opinion, are the incentive measures to promote an effective participation of the diaspora in the development of the continent?
I think most diaspora would want to participate in their country or in their continent and make a positive change. I can almost say 90-something% of people have the attachment to home, that they have the want or need to contribute in the best way that they can, whether it's by sharing their expertise, knowledge, or financially assisting in situations that can better our country. I think I can say majority of diaspora would want that. So what I would think can hold back any diaspora from moving back and coming back to native country is, for one, opportunities being very limited. Growth opportunities, whether it's in your career or whether it's from a financial perspective. I think as we grow, there's naturally going to be more diaspora coming. And I think we just have to, we as diasporas that have moved back, we also have to make the case for it. Not just diasporas, but I would really think that at the government level, on the policy making level as well, I think there needs to be always a call, not just to diasporas, but to the youth in general, to be in a purposeful path in contributing towards the growth, I think that, for one, less bureaucracy, because if you've been living on the other side of the world, there's usually ease in doing a lot of things, whether it's in ease of doing business or in the registration aspect of how to go about incorporating a new company. Things tend to be a lot more difficult in Africa in general. And I think if it was less bureaucratic, more transparent, information was more widely available as to how to go about things, and you didn't have to depend on word of mouth or having to, physically move around to get things done. And if things were just more technologically available online and it was just transparent and easy, then I think that could definitely play a major role in convincing more diasporas to move back. Outside of that, I would say just overall, just information to be more organized in a way that it could reach the diaspora that are interested in wanting to invest. It could be having certain, events, or just being reachable in a sense of making that information available.
Wow. Okay, Madam Shop. You were at the diaspora, you were in the United States of America. You came back to Africa, to your country, as to invest or to create the value. But my question now is, what should we expect when coming back to Africa to invest or to create value?
I think it's very important to humble ourselves when we come back to the continent, in a sense of not thinking that we know better or we are better, because we're not. And a lot of times people that are coming back from the diaspora tend to have this superiority feeling, which I'm not trying to generalize all, but there's that sense of feeling like you've been in a more efficient environment, and you tend to know how to quickly get things done, or logically you feel like you understand things better. So if we come with that aura, if we come with that attitude, I think it's almost a recipe for failure. So to completely, even if you feel that way sometimes, to completely not think that way of yourself, and to be ready to honestly learn from the people actually that have lived here, if you've been away, especially for a really long time, to relearn, to be ready to learn and come from a solution that is more integrated rather that's coming from an aspect that, hey, I know I would work, so here's what you need. You know what I mean? So being open to that dialogue and being open to trying to integrate and come from a humility space, I think you can register a lot more success there. Because very, very interestingly enough, we realize how much we don't know, you know? And just because you've had a higher education or Western education really doesn't make you more qualified in a way. So, but if you can, you know, really think of yourself like, okay, I just have a different way of thinking. Let me understand what your way of thinking is, and then let's see how we can merge that and then make it a solution or a way of leading business. I think you can be more successful there.
Well, exactly, madam. But motivation amongst young African entrepreneurs are generally lost due to lack of funding or difficulties in finding funds for the project. What do you recommend concerning this?
I think in general, from a motivation perspective, I think when you have a bigger dream or a bigger picture, the motivation comes from there. You have to have a drive, you know, inside you that can really guide you to continue and do things. But I don't understand why there could be a lack of motivation, honestly, because I think the future of Africa is truly in the hands of the youth. If the youth is not actively participating in changing and shifting and molding and contributing towards the economic empowerment of Africa, I don't know who else can. The youth is the one that has, you know, the energy and the creativity and the exposure to be able to do things differently and to push forth an agenda that can be beneficial for all. So that shouldn't be an option, you know, to not have motivation. We don't have another. Who else can do it if they do?
Yeah, exactly, madam. But when discussing with many young people, they will say that they have many ideas that can change the whole continent, but they don't have the funding. They don't have the necessary finance to start a business. That's why we ask you now, what do you recommend?
You're right that funding is not easily accessible. And there's a lot of barriers into getting funding because most of the time you have to already have the collateral that can, in instances of you failing to make the repayments, that can provide some level of guarantee to the banks. We're still in a continent where funding is received in a very traditional way of getting it. But I think that now things are changing. There are a lot of angel investor and high net worth individuals that are willing to take a chance on the youth, and if we can have more of those platforms or more of those spaces to connect those that have high net worth and funding, but not necessarily the idea. If we had more space, and I think a few startups or a few incubation centers in Ethiopia are doing that. If we had more of that in Africa, I'm seeing like shows like Lion Den, the Lion's Den, I think it's based in Kenya, or they go around Africa. If we had more of those type of settings, if we had more innovative way to get funding, like crowdfunding, and it can also be sometimes, you know, you don't even have to go far. It can even be from family and friends. And when you do get it from family and friends, you can make their investment more official in giving them equity into your company, you know, not necessarily asking for a handout. Hey, I want I have this business idea, give me money as, donation, but they can invest in you. I'm sure everyone has people that interest in them. And I think we just have to not rely on the traditional way of getting funding, which is through the banks. There are different ways to get it, I think. And it's just, I think what would help the most is maybe thinking outside the box.
Wow.
And also even starting small. Sometimes a lot of people feel like they need a lot of money to get a business started. But you can start in the comfort of your own home. Organically growing is a thing. If you can prove yourself in a smaller scale, you never know who's watching. You never know, and what it could be even one client, one customer that can get you to your next scaling capacity. So I would say starting small as well, thinking outside the box, and being open to different ways of getting funding and capital.
Wow, exactly, madam. But madam, we know you as an advocate, or as someone that empower women, someone that is passionate about creating impact on the community. It makes me want to ask you this question, like, for you, what is the definition of success?
So for me, I think being successful means being happy. It's not necessarily from a financial perspective, but from living in your purpose. If you are every day waking up and feeling like, okay, this is where I belong, there is a meaning to what I'm doing, I think that's success. I think that makes you successful, because you're bound to make the other criteria happen if you're already in that space. There's nothing more important than your inner self and what that tells you, what your nervous system tells you every day. There's nothing more important than that, and just being at peace with what you're doing. So for me, that's how I would definitely describe success. Basically, me feeling like I'm living in my purpose, which is, being an owner of a company that has a social impact. For me, that's my purpose. So that makes me happy. I'm already successful in that perspective, because I didn't shy away from the fear of failing, and I've already started that, and it's at a healthy growing path, and every day I'm doing what I'm passionate about. So that's how I would describe success.
Wow, exactly, madam. But now I will now ask you this question. According to you, what are the 5 rules to be successful in life?
I would say you need to be someone that is genuine in a sense that you understand yourself, and you also stay true to yourself. Someone that's genuine, it's important to be successful, in my opinion. The second quality thing that you need to have is you need to have perseverance. You need to have strength to not be defeated, and to always be willing to get up one more time, even when you face adversity and you face challenge. You have to have that mental perseverance and mental strength. The third one I would say is to be someone that's visionary. Even though the details are important, I think it's important for you to be able to see the big picture for what you are trying to accomplish. And then the other thing, I think it's also important to have empathy, or a way of understanding other people, because in order to be in a leadership role, I think you also have to understand others. So I think if you develop that sense, then the likelihood of you being successful is also higher. And then the fifth one, I would say having the drive, and I say that because I feel like not everyone has that, like that internal noise, that internal voice that tells you to just keep going and to just keep dreaming, keep thinking bigger, keep thinking the impossible is possible. You know, having that inner drive, I think, is very, very critical in order to continue to innovate and in order to continue to tackle, you know.
Wow, wow. But madam, you talk about everything, but did you talk about the passion? And the question I want to ask you is, do you think the passion is sufficient? Because the people that say that they are going for this because they're passionate, but do you think it's sufficient when you want to launch a business?
No, it's not. Passion is not it's not enough. You also need to, you also have to be strategic. You know, passion is definitely important in a sense that you'll keep going, but only that will not get you the ability and the leadership skill that's needed to, you know, coordinate and lead as necessary. The leadership aspect is very important. And for you to have a successful business, it's not just a matter of being, you have to be a good leader, even though not everyone is good at everything, right? But you have to know, and you have to be genuine and honest with yourself to know who you need under you. You have to have a very strong team. You're just as good as your strongest core people or your strongest three people under you. So being able to have the acumen, the business acumen to select those people and for you to also have strategy to lead that, I think you have to have a certain sense of business sense as well.
Oh, okay, but madam, how do you succeed in managing your team?
For me, I would say that for one, I'm very good at knowing what I'm good at. And I'm also very good at knowing what I'm not good at. And so I have no issues delegating. I have no issues, you know, saying, hey, you're better than this. You're better at this. So you take care of it. So that's how I lead. Having a strong core team and having the ability to delegate.
Wow, amazing, madam. Before we conclude, like, what advice can you give first to those entrepreneurs that are encountering difficulties with their team? Because maybe some member of their team has maybe embezzled them, or is not more motivated, or things are not going well with the team. Like, they're employing people, and the next time they're deceived, the next day they are deceived. Like, for you, what is the key? What is the secret? What's the recipe for that?
Trust your instinct. You know, our instinct is very strong. Trust your instinct, trust the data, trust the track record, record everything that from the start of your business, start things formally in a sense of having, you know, a ledger, having a way to record your customer satisfaction, in a way to record your inventory. Have data point that you can collect and analyze and understand how to make better decisions. And don't be afraid to trust your instinct. I think most times we know when someone is the best person for that position. And we shouldn't be afraid of terminating contracts as well, because sometimes people stay with mediocre people just because they're afraid of who will come next. If you know that person is not the right fit for that position, it's okay to terminate contracts. It's okay to say, hey, this is not a good fit, and to part ways, because you have to think from a sense that your business is independent of you, meaning the business has to be able to operate as an entity of its own that is completely distinct from you. Whether it's in a sole proprietorship or corporate setting that you've incorporated, it's important to always think from what's the best for the business, because the business is not you. And most people tend to really make that mistake of, you know, making company and themselves as one. And the company's interest should come first. I'm not saying don't have human component to how you do things, and you should definitely look out for your employees. But when something is mediocre, you shouldn't just continue just because that person maybe is your friend or something. So to always, keep your emotions in check, in a sense that your decision should be the best for the best of the company, so the company can be healthy and the company can be independent and grow. That's what that would be my advice.
Okay. So, madam, we are almost at the end of this show, and the question I want to ask you now is, what advice can you give to young and future entrepreneurs listening to us?
I would say that you really should understand why you want to be an entrepreneur first. Understand what it is that's the core of your purpose for you to be successful. If you understand clearly why you're wanting to do that business, besides just having a passion for something, then I think the likelihood of you being successful is much higher. I think entrepreneurship is definitely not for everyone. It does have ups and downs, it does have obstacles, it does have challenges, and you have to be willing to go through those different phases in order to be successful. Because like they say, you can never come out stronger if you didn't go through the challenges, if you didn't go through the fire. You come out stronger once you're going through that path, right? So you have to be willing to go through that and not seek comfort if you want to be successful. A lot of people just rather be comfortable and complacent, and that's not entrepreneurship. You have to come with the mindset that, okay, there will be challenges, but I'm going to come out stronger if I go through it. So you have to be mentally prepared from that perspective.
Okay. So, madam, we are at the end of the show. But the last question I want to ask you now is, what is your point of view concerning the career show?
I think that platforms like this are very important, because there is a lot of wisdom that's shared from entrepreneurs that have already went through the different stages. And I think having platforms like this will make future partnership within intra-trade stronger, and it will also give other entrepreneurs the inspiration, the motivation to be able to make that big decision or take that leap of faith into making that business happen. So I think what you're doing with this platform is awesome. It's great to have a platform where Africans connect, talk about challenges, relate with each other, debate with each other, and come out from this show thinking, I think this is a great platform, and I think you guys should keep up these interviews and giving thought-provoking debates. Last time I attended one where we talked about, is it possible to do clean business in Africa? And everyone was just debating and coming up with different, opinions. And that's basically how change makers are made, in my opinion, by being able to challenge status quo. So yeah, these platforms are very important, and I'm happy to, say a few words.
Ok. So, thank you. Merci beaucoup, Madame Jennet Lemma, d'être venue, d'avoir accepté notre invitation sur le Career Show. Et vraiment, nous souhaitons juste de passer une bonne soirée. Well done in what you're doing in empowering women, in creating impact in your community. And we hope that you will be present so that together we can deal with the nice African for us, because we believe that the future of Africa belongs to the youth. Thank you so much. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you for having me, and I hope you have a good night, and I hope to see you on a different platform soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.